After more than 2 years of the Civil War, the Union needed a victory that would help bring the country together again. After the Great Battle at Gettysburg, President Lincoln asked to help dedicate a cemetery for the lost soldiers. Lincoln told the crowd that the soldiers' work was done, but it was up to the living to carry on the task to make this country a place where everyone could be free and equal.
Fourscore and 7 years ago,
That's 87 years ago.
our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation.
Men named Jefferson, Franklin, Adams, and Washington declared independence.
Dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
They wrote a constitution that began, "We the people."
Now, we are engaged in a great civil war.
North against South,
Free state against slave state.
Union against Confederacy.
Testing whether that nation, or any nation, so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure.
Can people be trusted to govern themselves?
We are met on a great battlefield of that war.
Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
We've come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who gave their lives that the nation might live.
Over 23,000 men spilled their blood to preserve the Union. Over 50,000 died in all.
It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this.
It's the least we can do.
But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground.
The people that died here have done this, not us.
The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract.
Fathers, sons, brothers, loved ones.
The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here.
But almost 150 years later, we still remember.
But it can never forget what they did here.
Their deeds and memories still remain.
It is for the living rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work, which they have fought here, have thus so far nobly advanced.
The fight for freedom is never ending.
It is rather for us to be here, dedicated to the great task remaining before us.
Rich, poor,
Black, white,
Union, Confederacy. We are all responsible.
That from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the full last measure of devotion.
their sacrifice give us strength to continue the fight.
That we, here highly resolved, that these dead shall not have died in vain.
We will remember.
That this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom.
Freedom is our heritage. Freedom is our future.
And that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Many of the spectators did not even know the president had started speaking when he finished. But Lincoln had transformed the meaning of the Constitution for those still alive. He saw the Constitution as a promise of equality, the proposition that all men are created equal. That had been the promise of the Declaration of Independence. But the drafters of that document had not intended to include slaves and women in their definition. Now the country had fought a great civil war to test that notion, and the lives of the men who died at Gettysburg could be hallowed only one way: if the nation finally lived up to the proposition that all of its people, regardless of race or gender, were in fact equal. The power of that idea still challenges America today.